the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. With the New England Patriots losing today, two teams looking to move up on the division leaders in the AFC East, Miami and Indianapolis. Dan Marino looking to rebound from two subpar outings. On the other side, Peyton Manning, rising star in the NFL. We're back with the opening kickoff right after this. Welcome back to Indianapolis, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms and Armin Katayan, and that is Olindo Mare getting set to kick it away for the Miami Dolphins. The Indianapolis Colts have won the toss. They have elected to receive. Terrence Wilkins, number 80, and number 23 is Keith Elias. Indianapolis and Miami both at 2-1 on the season. A full house on hand at the RCA Dome as we get set to get underway. This is Elias. And down at the 22, maybe the 23-yard line. And we welcome those of you who have watched the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots. The Chiefs winning that 16-14. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms in Indianapolis. And after the opening kickoff, Peyton Manning brings the offense onto the field at 6'5", 230, the #1 overall pick a year ago. Has blossomed, to say the least. First down at the 23-yard line. Welcome to those of you who watched the game between the San Diego Chargers and the Detroit Lions. San Diego defeating the Lions 20-10 on the first offensive play of this game. What a great pitch and catch, Manning to Harrison.
Marvin Harrison in the slot. Indianapolis wants to do that today. The Indianapolis Colts, they might be the best play-action passing team in the National Football League. When they do it, they get the ball down the field.
First down at the Miami 45-yard line. On the ground, Edgerrin James barely makes it back to the line of scrimmage. Zach Thomas and Rich Owens with the tackle. Let's take a look at the Indianapolis offense. Youth along the front line, and Glenn, McKinney, Moore, Jackson, and Adam Meadows. In the backfield, the rookie Edgerrin James, Marcus Pollard, the H-back, Marvin Harrison and Jerome Peyton, the wide receivers, and Ken Dilger is the tight end. There is Jim Mora now in his second season as the Indianapolis head coach. 2nd and 10. Manning has his man close to the 35-yard line, and that's Marcus Pollard. And he surges forward, and it'll be enough for a first down. Let's take a look at the Miami defense now. Kenny Mixon out with an injury. Rich Owens replaces him at end, along with Bowens, Gardner, and Jason Taylor. The linebackers are Derek Rogers, Zach Thomas, Robert Jones. The cornerbacks, Terrell Buckley and Sam Madison, Brock Marion and Calvin Jackson anchor a very strong defensive secondary. The fake to James. On the rollout, Dilger wide open, 30, 25, down to about the 21-yard line. 14-yard pickup.
Well, we've seen a couple pass plays for the Indianapolis Colts already. Play action pass. This is what makes it go. Watch the fake by Peyton Manning. Look at the Dolphins defense. Everybody chasing the runner. And Ken Dilger, he goes out the other side. This play action passing by the Indianapolis Colts, that's one of the reasons why this Miami Dolphin defense, they're worried. Stop the big plays, and something they're going to do today that they usually don't do, play some zone to protect against the big play.
James lost his footing, lost a couple of yards. Harold Gardner, Rich Owens there on the stop.
Now, when you look at this Colt offense, it's about throwing the football. They have a good back, Edgerrin James. He's a good player. He can run it pretty well. But when you're going against the Miami defense, hard to run the football, a lot of speed. So they know to win, got to throw it down the field, got to be good play action passes. And the passing game is going to make it work. That's Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator.
3 wide receivers now for the Colts, Harrison, Wilkins, and Peyton. On 2nd and 13, straight drop for Manning. Little pump fake, goes for the end zone and overthrew his man. We watched him pump fake in practice on Friday, and you said he may already be one of the best in the NFL.
Oh, he might be. Jimmy Johnson described it best. He says, man, this Peyton Manning, he's got all the moves, and that means pump faking. Watch it here. Marvin Harrison in the slot, just that little fake. Watch him here. Here's what happens. Goes up the field. He broke out earlier. Out, up. He's open. Peyton Manning early in the game. You get a little fired up, and sometimes you overthrow those easy open receivers.
So now Manning looks at a 3rd and 13. You see the Colts on 3rd down conversion attempts this season. High snap. Manning brings it down over the middle. Incomplete. Had his man wide open coming across, and that was Jerome Peyton.
Well, the one thing you can see, yes, there's a couple missed passes that time by the Indianapolis Colts offense. But Greg, when you watch them on TV coming into this week, I said they have a lot of energy when you watch them get on the field. Receivers get open, they protect the quarterback, and Peyton Manning, he throws it with authority.
So on comes Mike Vanderjagt to attempt the field goal. He is 3 of 6 this year with a long of 42. This will be a 42-yard attempt. Steve Walsh will hold. And that's long enough. And it's good. Colts have now outscored the opposition 34-0 in first quarters this season. Dan Marino waiting to take his turn on the field when we come back. Vanderjagt's 41-yard field goal caps a 53-yard drive for the Colts in 8 plays. 8 up 3 minutes 41 seconds in Indianapolis with a 3-0 lead. Number 31, Brock Marion, is deep to receive. He has the best kick return average in the NFL. The NFL. Phil, this is football.
Hockey season has started though, Greg. It's okay.
And you know how big I am on skating. Marion averaging 28.8 yards and across the 35 to about the 38. Terrific field position for Dan Marino. We'll be right back.
On CBS, he's sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. Volkswagen, and by Budweiser, guaranteed fresh with our exclusive Born On date.
Welcome back to Indianapolis. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms. We said Dan Marino taking the field now, and more than just a few eyes will be watching how he performs with, as we mentioned earlier, a couple of subpar performances and criticism from his head coach last week.
I don't know if it's ever been said, but I think Dan Marino today is playing under a little pressure. He needs a solid outing to quiet some critics and Jimmy Johnson.
Cecil Collins straight ahead across the 45 to out the 47-yard line, and a pickup of 8 on the play. Let's check out straight from the tight end. There is Richmond Webb, out with a bruised knee for a couple of weeks. Straight ahead, Collins, and Collins may have gotten a yard. Was stood up by the middle linebacker Michael Barber. Let's check the Indianapolis defense now. Sean King, Bernard Whittington, Ellis Johnson, Chad Bratsky up front. The linebackers, Bennett Barber and Mike Peterson, who is in for Andre Royal, suspended for today after violating a team rule. Jeff Burris and Tyrone Poole, the corners. Jason Belzer, Tito Wooten, the safeties. And down on the field is Chad Bratsky, number 92. Bratsky, the 6th-year defensive end out of Eastern Kentucky. Spent 5 years with the New York Giants. This is his first year here in Indianapolis. Let's check in for the first time today with our man on the field, Armin Katayan. Armin.
Thanks, Greg. You know, as you mentioned, there's been a lot of talk about this Jimmy Johnson criticism of Dan Marino, so I decided to check out Dan's website this morning to see what he had to say. And basically he said, he goes, I'm my own harshest critic. He said, I didn't play well and I can handle the criticism. Well, you know what's interesting, last night, as he said to us, he was not crazy about Jimmy Johnson singling him out for that criticism. Back to you.
On computer maven on the field, Armin Katayan.
You know, before I address what Armin was talking about, you know, this dome has great lighting. It does, don't you think?
Yes, it does.
Because Armin looked good. So he really looked good down there. But it is, you know, Armin is right that Dan Marino, Chad Bratsky now walking off the field. But this Dolphin team I think Jimmy Johnson kind of explained to us this way. Where do we lack? In other words, everything on this team is good and solid. Defense, offensive line, running backs, wide receiver. It's imperative that Dan Marino plays solid football to give him a chance to win and go a long way this year.
On 3rd and 1, the first man through is Rob Conrad, and he may not have first down yardage. He appears to be short.
Didn't look like a very good handoff between Dan Marino and Rob Conrad. I always think it's kind of hard for a fullback to be right behind the quarterback and take it right up the middle to try to gain that 1 yard. Just not enough momentum created by the fullback, and hard to see. Quarterback's in your way.
Talk about things that people will keep track of. Monday night's loss to Buffalo. Miami was 1 of 14 on 3rd down. Conversion attempts.
Well, this is something that this has nothing to do with the quarterback when you get in these situations.
Well, did I say quarterback?
Well, no, but it's
3rd down.
But usually 3rd down do come to the quarterback. See, I'm defensive already. I actually thought for a second maybe Jimmy Johnson would go for it near midfield just a few inches ago, but not going to take a chance early in the game.
Terrence Wilkins goes deep to receive the kick from Tom Hutton. We saw Terrence Wilkins in practice Friday, and all we could say is, boy, is he quick.
This guy is quick in every sense of the word.
Hutton with a wobbler. Wilkins at the 18, dodges a few, up to the 30 to the 31-yard line. Sean Wooden, Robert Jones make the tackle. 35-yard punt, 13-yard return. Peyton Manning and his offense take the field again right after this. Come back to Indianapolis. Peyton Manning onto the field for second offensive series for the Indianapolis Colts.
Greg, I told you they're going to win this game today on offense. How they do it, it's going to be throwing the football. We've seen when they try to run against this Miami defense, they basically get overpowered and they're too fast for them to get any good blocking angles.
Quarterbacks up tight on the wide receivers. Edwin James to the 35. You know, the cornerstones of this Indianapolis team are Peyton Manning, Edwin James, and Marvin Harrison. And 2 hours before game time, what were they doing?
Out there getting ready for the game. These three good friends work together. Really nice chemistry between the three of them. As you hang around and you see them, they hang out with each other. Friends off the field. Edwin James, he comes in late to camp. Who's the guy that teaches him, gets him up to speed and par right away? Peyton Manning, spending that extra time with him, and that's why this Colts team is having such success.
2nd and 6, over the middle, complete, and then slipping and falling to the ground is James out of the backfield. Pick up a 3 on the play. In fact, if you caught the NFL Today earlier, you saw Marcus Allen's piece with all 3 of those young men, and just, you know, sit around talking easily and candidly as if they were 5, 6, 7-year veterans.
Well, I think Jim Mora, what did we ask Jim Mora? He was in New Orleans for all those years, down with the Saints, good defense, not really any stars on offense, just some good solid players. He even admits, he goes, I have 3 guys in offense that have a chance to be star players in the National Football League.
3rd and 2, and Manning out of the shotgun. Motions for Wilkins to come and then shovels it to him. First down and more. Midfield, 45, 40, and across the 35-yard line. 28 yards and a first down for the Colts.
I told you about this offense. It has energy. They do a lot of things. Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator, we saw this in practice. Here comes Terrence Wilkins in motion. Peyton Manning's going to move to his left. A little shovel pass underneath, a different look to the defense. I'm sure the Miami Dolphins have not seen that from Indianapolis or any other team for that matter. And just a good design, good execution.
First down. Edwin James for a couple. Robert Jones tackle. This isn't the only action around the National Football League today. Let's check in with Jim Nance in New York. Jim.
All right, Greg, and here's how Philadelphia, winless coming in, defeated Dallas today. The pass in the final minute and a half to Charles Johnson, and the Eagles win for the first time. The Cowboys lose, the Patriots lose. The Rams are the only undefeated team in the league. Let's go back to Greg and Phil.
All right, Jim, you know, for the final moments of a football game, that's a really wide open receiver downfield. 2nd and 9. The fake to James. Marcus Pollard coming across, and it's batted down incomplete.
Good job by Zach Thomas. He was telling us last night, I said, boy, Zach, you seem to get matched up with all these receivers, tight ends, wide receivers coming underneath. And he says, that's my job. When they cross the formation, you see Marcus Pollard, once they come across, my job, he goes, that's called lurking. I lurk in the middle, and I pick up the first guy that runs by me. That time it was Marcus Pollard.
So now Manning out of the shotgun on 3rd and 9. Needs to get to the 24-yard line for a first down.
Greg, we said, what did Jimmy Johnson say? The man's got all the moves. And that time he used a hard count. That defense, 3rd and 9.
Prior to the snap, encroachment, number 91, 5 yards.
That's Lorenzo Brunel. Well, you know, he said so many things. And, you know, even Marvin Harrison was telling us how Peyton Manning has so many hand signals, they don't know what to do. And we saw just prior to that shovel pass, he motioned to Terrence Wilkins. Yeah, come on across.
Well, the hard count, real smart thing to do. I don't think enough quarterbacks in the National Football League use the snap count enough to their advantage. Be on quick counts, catch the defense when they're not ready, and use long counts in passing situations so they don't get that great jump to get that pass rush going.
3rd and 4. As his man over the middle, it is complete, and it should be enough for a first down. Terrence Wilkins.
Well, the Colts got a lot of little moves in today to get away from this close defensive pressure that Miami likes to put on you. And what are you yelling about?
Well, I'm kind of surprised at where the ball was spotted. I guess that's another way of saying I'm not so sure it's a first down now.
I think, well, you're just mad because you spoke before you knew and all those things, but
it's a little short. Jim Morris says we're going to go for this.
Here it comes. Peyton Manning's going to look left. They got these receivers. Nobody open. Then here it comes. Terrence Wilkins comes underneath. Excellent tackle by Terrell Buckley, staying with the receiver in a tough situation.
4th and inches.
I just say you got to be alert for a play action pass here. That's about how you're going to make it in these situations today. If you're the Indianapolis offense, you're going to run it. You better tell the running back this time, Edgerrin James, not much movement up front. Penetration by Miami. Jason Taylor gets into the backfield, and James just does a good job of running straight ahead and knowing the situation, what you need. You need a couple inches, run hard, try to fall forward.
Clock coming up on 6 minutes to play here in the first quarter. The Indianapolis Colts dominating play. Miami has run 3 offensive plays so far. Manning rolls, throws back the other way, deep in the end zone, dragged down. Penalty markers on Marcus Pollard was down there, and Derek Rogers was all over him.
Got a couple penalty flags on the field. We got a hat, a flag, that's right, from one.
Referee is Jerry Austin.
2 fouls on the play. Holding, number 29. That penalty is declined. Pass interference. Number 59 in the end zone. 1st and goal at the 1.
The hold was on Sam Madison. That penalty declined. The interference call in the end zone on Derek Rogers. And it's 1st and goal from the 1.
This Colts offense is moving so fast, I can't keep up with it because I want to tell you so many nice little things, but this time, Peyton Manning makes a fake to the left, rolls right, nobody open. He knows he has Marcus Pollard going deep down the left side, turns, finds him. Tough job for the linebacker to cover a tight end down the field that ball.
Colts looking to improve on those numbers right now, but Edgerrin James can't get there. In fact, he lost yardage, loose football. On his way back is number 92, Darrell Gardner. There is a big play by the Miami defense.
Well, that's a big play in this game. It really changes the whole complexion. In Miami, they need your defense to make turnovers. You can see how hard it's going to be for the Indianapolis Colts to run this football. There is nowhere to go. Oh, Zach Thomas just gets in the backfield, delivers the helmet to the football.
So with 5:50 to play, instead of a 10-point deficit, Miami takes over. We'll be back.
On CBS is sponsored by the United States Marine Corps and by Burger King. When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
What looked like a certain 10-0 Indianapolis lead, it's still 3-0 now, and Miami with the ball at their own 35-yard line. Dan Marino for his second offensive series of the day. Going to throw it into the flat, complete to the fullback Conrad. Room to run out of bounds at midfield. Let's go back to the fumble and a terrific play by linebacker Zach Thomas.
Watch Zach Thomas. He's in the end zone. There he is coming, and watch, he just sees the play, then runs right behind. Something you usually don't do in the NFL. Runs behind and makes the tackle, gets the helmet on the football, and Edwin James is going to give it up.
Meanwhile, going the other way, look who's there to make the tackle. Peyton Manning.
Go low. Good job.
First down, Dolphins, midfield. Marino throws far side, has his man complete out of bounds to Tony Martin. 9-yard pickup.
That's something new from the Miami Dolphins today, too. Tony Martin, they bring this guy in. He's the speed receiver, big playmaker, and he is. That's what he is. They're going to move him around to make sure the defenses can't double cover him, give him more chances to catch the ball, because that's how you score points in the National Football League. Get the balls into the hands of the guys who can make a difference, and Tony Martin is one of those guys. 5
minutes to play, first quarter. On 2nd and 1, they keep it on the ground for the first down, and that's Cecil Collins. He picks up 4 on the play. Cecil Collins getting his first start. Cecil Collins, the ball carrier. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar inactive today.
And we'll talk about Cecil Collins a lot today. Power runner, can do it all inside. And we asked him last night, we said, well, when did Jimmy Johnson inform you were going to be the starting running back? He said Wednesday. He brought me in, says, you're going to start this week. Do well, don't fumble. That's a way to give you a lot of confidence. Jimmy Johnson hates those turnovers, especially fumbles by his running back.
Quick drop, Marino, quick pass over the middle, across the 30, and down to the 27-yard line is the tight end, Troy Drayton.
That's a good job by Dan Marino. It's sometimes if you think you're going to run up there and surprise him with the blitz, well, you're wasting your time because he's seen it all that time. They bring too many defenders. He knows he's got to get rid of it quick, and he finds Troy Drayton over the middle. And it's important, even for Dan Marino, 17th year. He needed a good start to feel good about himself, get rhythm in the game, and play well because of that.
First down from the 26. Another quick drop. Quick pass sideline. Complete. Inside the 10. Inside the 5. Penalty marker flies and out of bounds. O.J. McDuffie.
Well, I like what I see so far by Miami's offense, mixing it up, moving those receivers around.
Number 53, Michael Barber, is saying it's against Miami, and Jerry Austin says the same thing.
Illegal block from behind, number 80, 10 yards, repeat first down.
That's wide receiver Tony Martin.
You know, these are penalties that really don't upset maybe a coach as much as some other ones do, because I'll tell you what, Dan Marino makes a good throw to O.J. McDuffie, stays in the bounds, but Tony Martin is just hustling, trying to help his team, trying to make the play to score, and he just doesn't quite use good enough judgment.
Here comes the block right here.
And he just pushes from behind. Good call. You put two hands in the back of a defender, they're going to throw that flag.
Dan said no, but the answer is yes. Dolphins penalized 3 times already. Play action. Marino throws this side, complete and out of bounds. Tony Martin, his receiver, 14-yard pickup. You know, one of the gripes, and there were a lot of them about the Dolphins and Marino last week, was that he wasn't throwing to Tony Martin enough. We even asked him about it last night.
Well, he says, look, if it's designed to go to Tony Martin, I'll throw it to him. And what they're doing right now, Indianapolis is blitzing. They're giving him some one-on-ones, and Dan Marino, good job of hanging in there, seeing the one-on-one coverage against Tony Martin, and throws a good pass.
Miami did not score a first-quarter touchdown in its last 5 games last season, nor in its first 3 games this year. Quick drop, Marino throws incomplete. Alfrande Gadsden was there all by himself.
Well, both teams, first quarter, they both had, Miami's had basically 2 chances to score touchdowns. We've seen Indianapolis missing on those opportunities. Dan Marino, Gadsden catches that in stride. He's going to walk into the end zone. There we go. You see Dan Marino. I like that. He starts licking that hand. The man can lick his hand. Well, he puts more spit on that hand than any quarterback I've ever seen.
McDuffie, Martin, and Gadsden, the wide receivers, on 2nd and goal. Collins to the 6, and a penalty marker flies in the backfield. Penalty marker thrown behind the play, and it's a holding call against Miami.
Holding, number 66, 10 yards, repeat 2nd down.
That's Kevin Gogan. It's worth repeating here. Kevin Gogan starting at left guard in place of injured Mark Dixon, and Brent Smith starting at left tackle in place of injured Richmond Webb.
Well, they're off to a good start, too. They've had some good runs. So that makes an offensive line feel good right away. When they know they can go out there and line up and have Cecil Collins behind them and run straight ahead and get some really good positive yards, hey, you'd say, man, we can overpower these guys a little. And that's what this Colts defense is worried about. They're worried that Miami's going to line up and Cecil Collins is just going to continue to run it in there for good positive yards.
2nd and goal now. And Marino wants timeout. Dolphin red zone offense and the latest offensive attempt by Marino will have to wait until after this. With the Dolphins looking at 2nd and goal from the 19, offensive coordinator Kippy Brown trying to figure out what should be next.
Well, I like what he's done so far today, moving the players around, giving them a chance to make those plays. And what he's done for this offense and for this team, he's let Dan Marino, he's got him off to a good start. He's given him those opportunities to make plays without making great throws and putting a lot of effort into it.
Marino with time, throws in, it is incomplete and almost intercepted. Jason Belzer had it and dropped it.
Well, I see what they're doing. Conrad, here he comes in motion. They love to throw the ball out into the flat to him. Dan Marino fakes the first throw. They got him going deep over the top, but he does not see the safety. Jason Belzer, look at this. Into the chest. Oh, no. And I'll tell you, that had a chance to go all the way for a touchdown. And I know Jason Belzer saw it. I think it's one of the reasons why he dropped the pass.
3rd and goal. Marino over the middle, and that one is intercepted and dropped. Cornelius Bennett had that and is now pleading his case to the official that he held on to it long enough.
No, he did not hold on to it, and I'll tell you, Dan Marino got to feel that blitz. He did. He knows it's coming, but he almost waits a second too long. Look at this blitzer here. Tyrone Poole from the backside. Big hit. A hit from below, and look, when you make a quarterback, oh, he throws behind the receiver, Stanley Pritchett, and Cornelius Bennett drops it.
Olindo Mare from 37 yards out. And this one is good. So from 37 yards away, Mare with the field goal pulls the Dolphins even at 3. 1:41 to play here in the first quarter. And by the way, Monday on CBS, the King of Queens is ready to be a godparent, but his wife says no. Who's going to win the battle for the baby? All new, the King of Queens Monday on CBS, America's Most Watched Network. One of the things that was brought up this week down in Miami and by Jimmy Johnson, he was critical of the decisions that Dan Marino was making.
Well, there's a couple tough ones there. The first one, now, Jason Belzer, when you're playing quarterback, I got to alert you here. You're going to throw interceptions. It's going to happen. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of people in your face, so sometimes you do not see defenders down the field. But also, when you say that, Greg, the other thing is Dan Marino has gotten older, doesn't move around real well. So what is happening now in the National Football League, that's inviting defenses to blitz him even more because they know he can't get out of the way. And we're seeing it already. The Colts, I am shocked at how many, I'd say they've already blitzed about 6 or 7 times in this game, trying to get to the quarterback because they know he's not going to break that pocket and move out for any games.
Those 3 points represent the first points against this Indianapolis team in the first quarter this season.
Pay attention here.
Marino. Loop kick, and it is recovered by Miami. Dolphins appear to fall on it at midfield.
Now, I tell you, that ball might have hit a Miami Dolphin before it went the 10 yards.
Jerry Wilson comes up with the football.
It looked like to me that it did hit the shoulder of a Miami Dolphin before it went 10 yards.
Well, they certainly didn't play it as if it were an onside kick.
This is something. Jimmy Johnson, he loves onside kicks, not afraid. 30-yard, look at the 40-yard line, see if it hits anybody. Goes up in the air. No, it goes past the 40-yard line. It doesn't matter. Once it goes past 40, I can't see who it hit there, what number. But, boy, when you're...
Did. And now, in the booth next to us, they're yelling down to the Colts to challenge it on the sideline. They're going to get the play off without, and now the whistle blows. And now the whistle blows before the snap comes, just barely.
That ball went 10 yards, though. That was well over the 40-yard line.
Well, we're right next to the Colts booth, and the Colt assistants were yelling, challenge it, challenge it, challenge it.
Well, you're supposed to have a flag on that sideline, too. Somebody throw that red flag out in the field if that beeper you have or buzzer doesn't work.
Here's Jerry Austin.
Indianapolis was challenged and played that the ball did not go 10 yards prior to touching the kicker. The play will be reviewed.
So Jerry Austin will now proceed to the nearest monitor.
All right, here we go. Everybody's excited in the crowd. The replay we showed you earlier. It looked like it hit Ray Hill. Here he comes. There's the 40. Watch where the ball goes. Kind of hard to see. It's up in the air. It looks like it hits on about the 44-yard line. Watch it again. 40-yard line, he's well past it. 42, 43.
You know what? You have great eyes.
Yeah, man, I have my face about 1 inch from the screen trying to look. Now I got a headache. Well, let's see what happens.
The question is that going to be definitive enough for Jerry Austin?
I tell you, listen, when you're playing the Miami Dolphins, you better stress right from the beginning of the week. Kickoff return team, don't leave where you start from until you see that ball go in the air. Jimmy Johnson has had a history from the Miami University to the Dallas Cowboys to the Miami Dolphins. He loves trying onside kicks. And he does it in big spots. That's the other thing, especially early in the game. If you want to gamble on special teams, early in the game is a great time to do it because you have a chance to overcome if something goes wrong.
Well, you know, as you mentioned, he's been a gunslinger for a long time, and you know they had to talk him into coming back to coach one more year here. And you know, if he might figure, hey, what do we got to lose? The first thing he said to us last night was, "Show me where we're weak."
Yeah, he came and boy, he was fired up last night. Well, he's always fired up. I mean, Jimmy's just that way. But it's kind of funny. His defense is so solid. It's hard to get those big plays. The offense, let's don't turn it over. Everything's close to the vest. And then he likes to try these big gambles on special teams.
Jerry Austin is about to render his decision.
If Indianapolis loses this challenge.
After reviewing the play, call on the field stands because the ball was touched at the 42-yard line. 42.
That costs the Colts a timeout. So each team with 2 timeouts remaining here in the first half, and we still have 1:33 to play here in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think what happens now, a lot of fans, you got to realize in the NFL you kick from the 30-yard line and not the 35, which it used to be, or I think in college they still kick from the 35 too.
The fans boo, but the call stands. First down, Miami at their own 49. Collins across midfield about the 48 to pick up a 3 on the play. Cecil Collins telling us last night he and Edgerrin James, the rookie running back for the Colts, are pretty good friends. Gotten to know each other, talk all the time.
Yeah, he went down and hung out a little with him last week during his off week. Cecil Collins, I said, Cecil, what do you do? What's your strength? He says, I can do it all at the running back position. And doesn't lack confidence, has wonderful ability.
They called him down shy of the 50-yard line. They give it to Collins again, and Collins to about the 46-yard line, maybe the 47. Let's check in again with Jim Nance. Jim.
Greg, meanwhile down in Nashville, the Tennessee Titans have scored the game's first touchdown. Lorenzo Neal's first carry of the season, good for a 1-yard touchdown plunge. And the Titans lead the Ravens as they start now the second quarter. Let's go back to Greg and Phil.
All right, Jim, thanks. We have 25 seconds to play here in the first quarter, and Marino and the Dolphins looking at 3rd and 5. Shotgun, throws far side, almost intercepted, knocked down by number 31, Steve Muhammad.
Well, you can see this Indianapolis Colts defense, they're getting in position to make the plays. Muhammad, the ball is just delivered too late outside the receiver. Tony Martin is open, you got to time it out. It gave Steve Muhammad way too much time to adjust and try to make a play.
Terrence Wilson back for the kick. Made the fair catch signal, waved it off, and the ball is going to roll down inside the 5-yard line. It's going to turn out to be a heck of a punt by Tommy Hutton. That's a 44-yard punt as time runs out here in the first quarter. We've played 15. Jimmy Johnson and the Miami Dolphins in a 3-3 tie with the Colts. Look at Jim Mora standing along the sidelines.
Well, if you need a guy, this Indianapolis Colts, this organization was in a little disarray. You need somebody to get it back in order, get some discipline. He's the man, and he's done it in a very short time.
Manning, throw out of his end zone. Incomplete. Marvin Harrison, the intended receiver, up the far sideline. Coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report, Jim Nance, Craig James, Randy Cross, Derek Glanville, getting you caught up on all the scores and highlights. That's coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report. You said earlier you thought they were dressed rather well today.
I was lying. No, they did. I have to admit, they look sharp today. Jerry looks good in there. Got that black shirt working every week. Starting to look a little bit like Jimmy Johnson with that hairspray on the hair.
Second down. James doesn't get much at all. Robert Jones there to make the stop. No one's been able to run the ball very well today. Miami with 17 yards rushing, the Colts with 4.
Well, that's surprising. The other one, that doesn't surprise me at all. The Indianapolis Colts said it from the start. You want to move this ball consistently, you better keep doing it with play-action passes and picking up some 3rd downs with the passing game.
4 wide receivers for Manning who will work out of the shotgun. short of a first down.
You know, I asked Jim Moore when I was talking to him yesterday. He said something about Miami's defense. He said they can just swarm you and just engulf you. And I said, I know they're fast. Everybody in the NFL is fast. And he goes, no, this is different. They're like really fast, and they get to the ball and they make the plays. And that was a good example. It looked like Terrence Wilkins was going to pick up a first down. Boom, he's down 2 or 3 yards short.
Hunter Smith is the rookie punter out of Notre Dame for the Colts. Line drive kick midfield. O.J. McDuffie, 40, 30, and brought down at the 30-yard line, maybe the 29. 39-yard punt, 20-yard return. And the Dolphins are going to have some prime field position. Clock is stopped with 13:31 to play here in the first quarter. Colts and Dolphins are knotted at 3. Well, the criticism leveled by Jimmy Johnson at Dan Marino wasn't so much interceptions, but the decision-making process that Dan's been going through.
Well, and those bad decisions have led to points by the other team. Some tough spots today. He's got away with those mistakes. You got to have those. But what I like, and I watched Dan Marino today, he's got that little hop in his step again. And I think when he does that, he's a much better thrower, more accurate, and has more power on the football.
J.J. Johnson on the carry, lost the football. And the Dolphins cover it up at about the 27. Rob Conrad was there to fall on it, but J.J. Johnson, the rookie out of Mississippi State.
And Cecil Collins comes back in, and I'm just telling you how it works with Jimmy Johnson. You fumble that football as a running back, unless your name is Emmitt Smith, you're going to sit on that bench for a long time. And that's like the #1 thing. Watch J.J. Johnson plows it up in there. Good job by Cornelius Bennett just stripping the ball out. You got to put 2 hands on it.
And whistle blows now. And Jerry Austin.
Well, the challenge buzzer went off. He's looking at Jimmy.
Jimmy said, I didn't do it.
Well, there would be no reason to.
Stop the clock because the pager went off. Must be a malfunction of the equipment. Second down.
You know what it is? It's your wife. She says, Jerry, bring me home some bread. You know, the whole thing. Same thing that every wife does.
I hear that's beef country you're in. Second and 8. Conrad. And Conrad dragged down at about the 23 by Cornelius Bennett. We call it the 22-yard line. That's still shy of a first down.
Well, that's a play you see a lot in the Miami Dolphins. Play action fake. Rob Conrad out on the flat. Throw it to him, Dan Marino. Jimmy Johnson says, this guy has excellent hands for a fullback. And watch this, Dan Marino flips it out there, reaches back, catches it. Really been a big part of the passing game the last couple of weeks for the Miami Dolphins.
You see the CBS first down line. They need to reach the 19-yard line for a first down.
Here they come.
The first third down conversion of the day, and he's got it to the 10-yard line. Oronde Gadsden. That will be a first down.
Woo, that's throwing the ball under pressure. I don't know if Dan Marino saw it, but watch you play quarterback in the National Football League. Here they come. Look to the right of the quarterback. 2 defenders coming. Jason Bell's a free to Dan Marino. Hits him just as he releases the ball. But Dan Marino sticks it in there.
There is a Colt player down on the field.
Well, Dan's looking for, come on, roughing the passer. Helmet to helmet.
The Colt player on the field may be Tyrone Poole, who was in on that tackle. Marino, 7 of 11 for 78 yards. Clock is stopped with about 11.5 to play here in the first half.
On CBS is sponsored by NorthernLight.com. Just what you've been searching for. Propecia. And by Honda. A winning lineup of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans.
Dolphins with 1st and 10 at the Indianapolis 11-yard line. Marino and company looking to snap a 3-3 tie. loss of about 6 on the play. Sean King was there.
I tell you, I see a lot of reverses going on in the National Football League, and these defenders to the backside, this time it's Sean King, they are really being disciplined and smart, not going for little ball fakes, chasing the runner, staying in position, and putting the Dolphins in a tough situation there.
Tyrone Poole was injured. He is back on the field now for the Colts. Miami at 2nd and 16. McDuffie in motion to the far side. Marino with time has his man over the middle. Tony Martin inside the 10 down to about the 9-yard line.
Well, that was something different for Dan Marino. He got to drop back, throw the ball, and didn't land on the ground with somebody hitting him on a blitz. Indianapolis, but Tony Martin, people want to know, where's he been? Here he comes from the right side, going underneath the coverage, makes the catch, and then when you make the catch in this league now, you know here comes the cavalry. They're going to hit you.
Dan Marino has already had himself a pretty full afternoon back there. 7 hurries, knocked down 3 times. They can get a first down at the 1. Marino throws this side, incomplete. Tony Martin.
Right idea, good call to the Miami Dolphins. Tony Martin could be open, but the problem with that is you're down on the goal line, and you're as a quarterback in the middle of the field, throwing all the way to the outside. I'm going to tell you, even gambling, you get nervous. Because if that thing's intercepted, it's a touchdown the other way. So he played it very safe, makes a tough throw, throws it out of bounds.
Olindo Mare will try to give the Dolphins lead from 27 yards out. And the kick is good. 9:45 to play here in the first half. And for the first time today, Miami leads at 6-3. You're waiting for me to explain that to you, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm a smart guy. I'm married, you know.
6-3.
Watch a lot of sports on TV.
Olindo Mare with the kick. This will be Keith Elias at the 11. And he gets knocked down shy of the 25-yard line by number 25, Greg Jeffries. Let's check in once again with Armin Katayan. Armin.
You know, thanks, Greg. Before the game, I had a chance to talk to Bill Poley and the Colts president about that fateful decision he had to make a couple of seasons ago, Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. He said it was really interesting. He said what happened was, he said there were a couple of things he had to consider. He said the Peyton was going to play, the quarterback was going to play right away. He was going to replace Jim Harbaugh, and most of all, he was going to play with a young line. I'll finish that up for you in just a second after Peyton comes back to center.
Okay, Armin, first down from the 24-yard line for the Colts. And Edgerrin James tries the right side, turns the corner about the 28-yard line. Let's go back to Armin.
You know, Greg, just to finish it up real quick, he said after all the measurables, size, strength, arm, things like that, he said, you know what, it came down to the fact that Peyton had come from a football family, that he had stayed an extra year at school, and most of all, he was just a great student of the game, as certainly has played out in his first season with the Colts and very much this year. Back to you.
All right, Armin. Yeah, boy, you sit there and you talk with Peyton 5 minutes, and it's amazing how much he has picked up.
The secret's out, isn't it? As soon as you meet him, the thing I'll tell you, when I watched him practice, I was just overwhelmed by his physical maturity in 1 year.
Manning over the middle has his man wide open, and it's Jerome Peyton. And Peyton rolls forward to the 40-yard line, and it's a first down.
Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, he says, you build an offense, you try to build it to the strength of your players. He says Peyton Manning's strength, really, really good ball faker. He makes those fakes. He says it reminds me of when Boomer Esiason had those couple good years with the Cincinnati Bengals. So he built his offense around deceptive first down passing, play action, and getting it down the field.
To midfield at about the 49-yard line. It's a 9-yard pickup. Sean Wooden prevented an even bigger gain.
Now, I'll tell you what, now he's given that look about 5 times today so far to the Miami defense. And every time Manning has pulled that ball back and thrown it down the field, this time he gives it to him, and all the Miami defenders are going, it's got to be a pass. Here it comes down the field. But so now the Colts, they got that Miami defense guessing. This is when you make those good positive plays.
2 tight ends on the field now. On on 2nd and 1. They give it to James again. He's got a first down across the right side. 3-yard pickup. Edgerrin James telling us, well, you know, how is the NFL for you? And he said, oh, it's going pretty good. He said, I haven't gotten that welcome to the NFL hit yet.
It's coming, though.
Oh, you bet it's coming.
Many times, but he laughed when he said it. Jim Morris said about Edgerrin James, the thing that impressed him the most when he came in, held out of training camp, got the contract done, but he came in and knew what to do, studied that playbook so hard when he wasn't here, it made his adjustment into the starting lineup very easy.
James. Running room. You know, here's something else you need to know about Peyton Manning. We kind of laughed about this, and everyone confirmed it. Peyton Manning is not beyond making up plays in the huddle.
Well, Greg, there's so many things to say. Yeah, he makes up plays, he works on them, they sneak them in practice, and Tom Moore will go, oh, that looks good. Go ahead. We'll do it in the games now. Here's a comparison of the quarterbacks today.
Marino 8 out of 13 for 86, and Manning 8 of 12 for 109 yards. And Manning now at the 45. Quick drop, quick pass, complete to Pollard. Pollard inside the 35 to about the 32-yard line. And that's another first down for the Colts. 12 yards on the play. Terrell Buckley with the tackle.
You know, Greg, you were talking about making up plays. Let's watch this last pass. A little blitz. Here comes the blitz. Peyton Manning sees it, reaches over the top, and that's what, if you're going to blitz as a defense, you saw Sean Wooden coming up. If you're going to blitz, your defensive backs must be sure tacklers.
Almost the same number of runs as passes. First down for the Colts. Play clock down to 3, 2, 1, and Peyton Manning calls the timeout just before he's hit with a delay of game penalty. So Manning comes to the sideline, and we'll take this opportunity to tell you Indianapolis Colts running back Edgerrin James is off to a fast start. Log on to NFL.com and find out what makes this rookie go. That's only at www.nfl.com.
You know, Greg, you were talking about Peyton Manning making things up. You see him talking to Tom Moore. He's the offensive coordinator. Tom Moore told me a story a few weeks ago. They're in New England. Peyton Manning had been working with Marvin Harrison, the guys, over this play a lot. And they've been doing it, and they got him out of the 20-yard line. And Tom Moore, who calls the plays into Peyton Manning, says, hey, just go ahead and call that play you've been working on. Here in this day and age of complicated offenses and all that, he just goes, well, call that play you've been working on. And he says, sure enough, touchdown.
Speaking of differences in this day and age, Tom Moore is an offensive coordinator who really doesn't aspire to be a head coach.
Well, he says, now, with his tongue in cheek now, he says, I have no tact and I lack personality. So that's the end of that. But he loves being a coordinator. He loves the position he's in now. Good place, franchise quarterback.
First down to give to James. James can't get outside. He's brought down. Jason Taylor made the hit. And a loss of 2 on the play.
I just think it's hard to take the football. You're Edgerrin James. You've got to keep it inside unless you just know there's a big running lane outside. Keep it inside. He would have gained 3 or 4 yards maybe by running hard. You go outside. Miami's defense, it's made to take away outside runs.
2nd and 11. Neither of these teams making a living at running the football today. And he's going to go deep. Far side. Has it. Touchdown. Marvin Harrison. Peyton Manning threw a rope.
That is the difference between Peyton Manning this year and last year. Marvin Harrison, he is just too fast to line up and think you're going to cover one-on-one. And Brock Marion, number 31, is not able to get over there with the help from the safety position to take away the pass.
7th touchdown of the season for Marvin Harrison. in the NFL consecutive games with a touchdown pass. Peyton Manning with 17 in a row.
On CBS is sponsored by Visa. It's everywhere NFL fans want to be. And by Sprint PCS.
Peyton Manning hooking up with Marvin Harrison for a 33-yard touchdown. And the Colts are on top by a score of 10-6. 4:39 to play here in the first half. 76-yard drive. Brock Marion is deep to receive the kickoff. Marion at 10, 20, 30. Across the 35 to about the 36-yard line. Billy Austin with the tackle, and let's go back to the touchdown.
Here's Marvin Harrison up here, but watch Brock Marion. His job to split these two receivers and try to help down the field. But watch what happens. He stays inside just a little too long. Oh, he sees the throw, and it's just too late. Peyton Manning puts a lot on it. Marvin Harrison just too fast.
And Terrell Buckley had gone out of the game on the play before. Ray Hill, the second-year man out of Michigan State, was the cornerback on that side of the field. Marino starts from the 36-yard line. Cecil Collins to about the 39. We're told that Terrell Buckley has sprained his left ankle, and his return today is a question mark.
Well, this Miami offense, as I looked at this game today, and I thought if the Indianapolis Colts could get on top and get Miami a little bit predictable where they had to throw the ball maybe more than they wanted to, that's when I thought they could probably take advantage of the offense by blitzing Dan Marino, getting to the quarterback, and maybe causing those turnovers.
2nd and 6, movement on the far side. Chad Bratsky came across. And let's see if he was drawn over.
It's close. He moved. I thought maybe he was in the neutral zone. Made Brent Smith move.
BNZI, neutral zone infraction on the defense. Defense offsides. Defender came into the neutral zone. Calls to blocker to raise up. 5 yards, 2nd down.
That is Bratsky, who is the full sack leader with 3.
Chad Bratsky, watch. He makes that move. Yep, he is in the neutral zone. Brent Smith, hey, get up. New rule they put in a couple of years ago, works well.
First Colts penalty of the day. Moves the ball to the 45-yard line where Marino looks at a 2nd and 1. Quick drop ball, batted down. Number 96, Sean King, was in his face.
Wow, Miami just trying to throw a real quick 3-step drop, and that defense is in Marino's face. What's Dan Marino? 1, 2, 3. Well, nobody blocking Sean King, and that is so hard.
That's a helmet block.
Man. We saw the offensive back, but there's no way a back can get to a defensive end quick enough to get his hands down for the quarterback to throw it.
3rd down conversion still a problem for the Dolphins. Marino with time over the middle finds his man. 1st down yardage and more. O.J. McDuffie inside the 45 and a 1st down.
Well, 3rd and really short. Miami just kind of catching everybody's surprise. Going with the play action pass. Well, guess what? Another blitz. O.J. McDuffie, look, nobody there for him. Good job by Dan Marino waiting. Wait for the receiver come into that open space inside. Well, the Dolphins keeping the Indianapolis Colts defense off balance with the passing game.
The last time these teams met last year, O.J. McDuffie had an outstanding game against Indianapolis. 9 catches, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 1st down, Colts at the 43-yard line. Or 1st down, Dolphins. He's going to go deep. Has a man open. It is caught by Tony Martin. And Martin is down at the 2-yard line.
There's a little tendency going on here. Every time I've seen Tony Martin move today, they're going to throw the ball. And guess what? Who the primary receiver is? Tony Martin coming all the way across. He ran a quick out. Now look at this time. Oh, nice fake. Up the sideline. Tyrone Poole fooled by that. That is a good job Good job of watch Cecil Collins picking up the blitz. But that's a good job of play calling, setting the play up and then taking advantage of it.
We come to the 2-minute warning. The Dolphins looking to grab the lead again. Tension. We want to remind you, don't go away. Coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report, Jim Nance, Craig James, Randy Cross, Jerry Glanville getting you caught up on scores and highlights. Coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report. Dolphins first and goal at the Indianapolis 3-yard line.
Today, Greg, today this Dolphin offense, if I've always had a complaint about it over the years, they just don't move around enough. And today there's movement, variety in the plays, and you know, they're just giving the players a lot of chances to make big plays.
Conrad and Collins in the backfield. Collins gets the ball, dives for no gain. Larry Chester, one of the defensive linemen there to meet Cecil Collins, the rookie.
Him and about 20 other people. I tell you, when you get inside the 5-yard line now in the National Football League, I say it all the time. You almost got to laugh. That time, the Dolphins, they've been running the ball up in there with some strength today a little bit, and it's hard to get it back to the line of scrimmage.
Red zone offense has produced 2 field goals today. Marino going to throw. Far side, has his man. It is out of bounds, shy of the goal line. O.J. McDuffie.
That is a screen play. Usually you see a receiver go on the other side of the ball and cross across the formation. This time, look at O.J. McDuffie. Comes from behind the line of scrimmage all the way across. But what a good job by the Colts defense. Following through the traffic, Jason Belzer makes the tackle short of the touchdown. There goes O.J. McDuffie across. That is tough to cover down on the goal line.
3rd and goal. Collins shakes a tackler, can't shake the rest of them.
Big decision here. And I think it's the right decision. Kick the field goal from 3 yards out.
Olindo Mare has kicked 4 field goals in each of the last 2 games. He's kicked 2 here. It's not saying a whole lot for Miami's red zone offense.
Well, how many times have you heard me say red zone offense? The teams that are really, really good inside in the red zone, they can run the heck out of that football.
Play clock down, and now Damon Heward calls a timeout to keep from backing the Dolphins off another 5 yards.
But Greg, that's what it comes down to a lot of times is how good can you run the ball? How can you just line up in those tough situations and just cram it down the throat of the defense and score those touchdowns?
Let's put with 27 seconds to play in the first half, a first half report card on Dan Marino.
Well, he got away with 2 interceptions that could have gone against him, but you got to have those breaks as a quarterback. Throwing the ball, I think, exceptionally well, and he's got that hop today. His feet, he's got them active, and for a quarterback, if you want to be a good thrower, your feet better be moving, getting you in position to fire the ball down the field.
We were talking about this earlier. What he would like, what the Dolphins would like, what the fans in Miami would like, is to see Dan Marino go out the way John Elway did in Denver.
Well, that's the what do you call it? The fairy tale ending, and that's going to be hard. It's just to win this thing, and well, I think that's why we sense so much pressure from the Miami Dolphins, the fans, the media, and Jimmy Johnson.
21-yard field goal attempt by Mare is good, his 3rd of the day. 24 seconds remaining here in the first half. The Dolphins move to within a point. 10-9 Indianapolis. Along with Phil Simms and Armin Katayan and the rest of our CBS Sports crew, Greg Gumbel back at the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. Dolphins scoring drive 61 yards. Olindo Mare 21-yard field goal, and he kicks it away. Wilkins and Peyton deep. This is Wilkins. And he runs. 25, 30, penalty marker down, back behind the play, and he's run out of bounds close to midfield. And it's a hole against the Colts.
Greg, I think we had a good laugh during the commercial.
Holding number 57 during the run back. 10 yards, first down.
We were talking about this first half. Here it is, 10-9. Not a lot of points when you look at it, but what action. There has been a lot of offensive action, only for 19 points scored by these two teams.
It feels like a 24-21 game.
It's got a lot of energy, and it's been fun to watch and talk about.
Dan Marino, who has not been at his happiest this week, doesn't look like he's entirely pleased over there on the sideline.
Well, maybe in the second half we can tell a story about Jim Mora, in his days of broadcasting, about Dan Marino coming off a bad week.
He'd rather not think about it. That's going to bring the first half to an end. The Colts and the Dolphins both up and down the field, and at the end of the first half, the Colts lead it by a score of 10-9. And let's check in with Armin Katayan. Armin.
Thanks, Greg. Jimmy gave up one of those big plays you didn't want to on defense, but the big question on offense, Dan's play and the offense.
Well, the main thing is we've got to get some big plays ourselves. You know, we've got to take some more shots down the field. We took the one shot to Tony Martin, and he gave us a big play. We've got to put it down the end zone. You know, we're taking too many field goals, not getting enough touchdowns.
Thanks, Coach. Greg?
All right, Armin. So, in response to Armin's question, Jimmy Johnson basically says we're not getting as much offensively as we should. Our halftime score, the Colts 10, Dolphins 9, coming up. Off to Jim Nance in New York for the NASDAQ halftime report. Jim, Randy, Craig, and Jerry will get you caught up on all the NFL news, plus scores and highlights, right after these messages from your local stations. Colts lead the Dolphins by a score of 10-9. Neither team has been able to run it. Both teams have been able to throw it. The promise of a terrific second half coming up. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after a word from your local station. Back to Indianapolis, everyone, along with Phil Simms. I'm Greg Gumbel. 10-9 is our halftime score in favor of the Colts, and we joked about it a little while ago. It feels like it should be much more. There is the promise of much more in the second half.
Oh, I think there is. I think what impressed me in the first half, the energy both teams played with, the creative offensive schemes they came up with, moving the football down the field, and who's going to make that big play in the second half to win the game? Because it's going to come down to one or two big plays.
As we said a little while ago, neither team has been able to run the ball very effectively. Look at the rushing yardage compared to the passing yardage. It's like, hey, why bother?
No surprise on the Colts side. I am surprised that the Miami Dolphins did not run the football better. I really expected them to come in here and play a very conservative game. A lot of Cecil Collins up the middle, but where we can see we were full. They're letting Dan Marino try to move the ball down the field by throwing the football.
The Colts will kick. Brock Marion is deep for Miami. And Marion from the 2. 15-20. Across the 25 to about the 27 or 28-yard line. And let's check in with Armin Katayan. Armin.
Thanks, Greg. You know, talking to Coach Moore, and I got to report, this is the first time I ever heard in this business. No complaints at all about his team. He said we're playing about as well as we can play. We're playing great defense. We're moving the ball on offense. He said if we keep it up, he goes, I just hope something good happens. Back to you.
All right, Armin, you know, you alluded to it just before halftime, Phil. Jim Mora, in his broadcasting days, said he happened to catch the Miami Dolphins the week after Jimmy Johnson criticized Dan Marino a couple of years ago, and all Marino did was come out and tear up the other team.
He said, I don't even want to think about it. Marino just came out and just lit up the Tennessee team at the time, so he was hoping he wasn't going to see that again today.
Marino going to come out throwing here, throws a quick pass just a little behind his intended receiver, O.J. McDuffie, and once again, Marino has to pick himself up off the carpet. Ellis Johnson hit it.
Well, he was under a lot of pressure in the first half, I thought, mainly from blitzes. Ellis Johnson, number 62, just outquicks Kevin Gogan, makes a little move and just gets right around him. And well, I tell you, sometimes with a quarterback, you get hit like that, that's solid, and they fall on you, that's when you get hurt.
3 wide receivers now for Marino on 2nd and 10. And they run it with Cecil Collins. Collins to the 33, maybe the 34-yard line. Michael Barber with the stop after a 7-yard pickup on the play. Michael Barber's played himself a pretty active football game in the middle of that Indianapolis defense.
Well, he has. He's been a good surprise for the Colts defense this year, along with number 97, Cornelius Bennett, is the other one. But Michael Barber picked up last year when the Colts defense, in the words of Jason Belzer, we were just terrible. They brought in a lot of players, tried them out. Michael Barber's done a good job starting this year.
Marino looking for a 3rd down conversion. And they're going to keep it on the ground. Stanley Pritchett. Pritchett comes up short.
Well, you know, I know what you're thinking at home, and I actually thought about it too. My first thought, oh man, come on, why are you running the ball? But you had so much success throwing the football. The game is trying to guess out the other team. They say, hey, let's run the ball. We haven't done it all day in this situation. There's Kippy Brown, the offensive coordinator. Well, the Colts weren't fooled.
Tom Hutton bounces it at the 35. Wilkins lost the football. Loose ball. Who covers it? Indianapolis. Terrence Wilkins, the rookie out of Virginia, had it and lost it. And the Colts recover it, and they'll take over. Larry Izzo was the man who applied the hit. We'll be back. Larry Izzo, special teamer extraordinaire.
That he is. Came down. Terrence Wilkins trying to make the catch. There he is for the tackle. Causes the fumble. The reason why Larry Izzo is on this team is to do things like that on the special teams.
4 wide receivers for Peyton Manning. Throws this side complete to Gilbert. 25-yard line. And the ball is whistled down after a pickup of 8 on the play. We were talking about it during the timeout. The Miami Dolphins have been winning the field position battle, but they're losing on the scoreboard. The average starting position of the Colts was the 18-yard line. There's Larry Izzo.
Well, yeah, let me just say this about Larry Izzo. Jimmy Johnson, when he took over the Dolphins, what's this, his fourth year now, he's in there one night. Nobody knows who's going to make the team. He says, I'll tell you what, guys, we all know Dan Marino's going to make this team. The rest of you are going to be fighting for a job.
That's Edgerrin James for one.
And everybody else, you got to prove to me you can make this team. And he says, there's one guy. And that one guy, Larry Izzo. You've done such a tremendous job on my special teams in the preseason. I want you to leave the room right now and go call your mom and tell her you're going to be a Miami Dolphin. And, you know, I think it's a great story. It sent a message to Jimmy Johnson's team, what it's about, what you got to do to make it. And Larry Izzo, 4 years later, still playing those special teams.
Undrafted, coming out of Rice, signed as a free agent. Valuable special teamer for the Dolphins. James, room to run across the 30 to the 33-yard line. It's a first down. 7-yard pickup on the play.
$14 rushes, 31 yards today. Really a pretty good day. I know it does. You can't believe I'm saying that. It's about 2 yards per carry. But he's asked to pick up those tough yards when he need them. A couple 3rd and shorts. He's running up in there hard and picked up first downs.
Manning out of the shotgun now on first down from his own 33. Quick pass this side, complete. Wilson, 40, 45. Bumps into his own man and dragged down inside the 25-yard line by Sam Madison.
You see this play a lot in college. You don't see it too often in the pros, because it takes such wonderful execution. Terrence Wilkins on the outside. Manning from the shotgun comes behind the line of scrimmage. Good block. I couldn't see who made the block. I think it's one of the tight ends. And you can see the quickness and the speed of Terrence Wilkins. Edgerrin James is the guy that came out, made the block that let Terrence Wilkins off of that long run.
So first down now at the 24-yard line. The fake to James. Peyton over the middle, incomplete, intended for Harrison.
You know, somebody said to me during the week, Marvin Harrison trying to shake it off, they wondered when this thing was put together last year. Peyton Manning's drafted. Tom Moore is going to be the offensive coordinator. Would he be inventive enough, outgoing enough for this offense to really prosper? And if you have not seen the Indianapolis Colts, and I really haven't seen a lot of them, except for this week, watching all their tapes and everything, they do it all.
They're fun to watch.
They are. They get after it. And I said it earlier, the energy, you can feel it when this offense is on the field.
2nd and 10. Edgerrin James trying to get outside. Shakes a tackle across the 20 to about the 18-yard line, where there's a mass meeting of the Dolphins. And a penalty
Well, that was a pretty run to pick up 5 or 6 yards.
The tackle, 5 yards.
Zach Thomas, the middle linebacker, was telling us about Edgerrin James. He says this guy can plug it right up in the middle, and if it's not there, he just slides right out to the outside, has the speed, and nice move getting away from Zach Thomas. And we can see, who is that?
Rich Owens.
Rich Owens getting that hand in there on the face mask.
Yeah, Zach Thomas said that it's his lateral movement that he does really well. First down, Indianapolis. At the 13. James. No gain on the play. You know, there's a lot of talk here about the fact that Peyton Manning has not yet been sacked this year.
Yeah.
And Peyton told us, you know, I'd really like to just take a sack and get that whole thing over with.
Yeah, sometimes those kind of stats, you get tired of hearing about it. It becomes such a focal point before the games, and it really kind of puts pressure on the offensive lineman, Peyton Manning. You don't want to be thinking about little silly stats like that when you're trying to play a game, but he hasn't been close to being sacked so far today.
2 rookies in the backfield, and James and Paul Shields. Manning going to throw to Shields. 15 across the 10 to about the 9-yard line. It's a 3-yard pickup, and it'll be 3rd down.
Now, if you follow the Miami Dolphins, and I have followed them, you see them on TV so much because they're one of the premier teams in the National Football League. They play what you want to say, in-your-face, intimidating defense. Now today, I have noticed, and Jimmy Johnson even said, we will play some zones, we will get back, because he respects what this Indianapolis Colts offense can do. And there's George Hill, the defensive coordinator. You just can't keep getting up in the face of these wide receivers, or they'll go deep on you and make big plays.
Manning from the shotgun on 3rd and 6. He needs to reach the 3-yard line for a first down. Gets outside, throws, end zone, touchdown! Marcus Pollard. Strike.
Well, we talk so much about what he does mentally, but again, physically, last year to this year, just no comparison. His ability is so good, he's able to make those type of plays.
Marcus Pollard scores his first touchdown. Manning on the rollout throws a 9-yard strike. The Colts with a 17-9 lead on Miami.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. Norelco, put it to the test. And by Chrysler, engineered to be great cars.
Drive in 9 plays, 4 minutes and 50 seconds, and the Colts kick it away. Marino lets it drop. It's now picked up by Jerry Wilson, and Wilson out to the 23 to 24-yard line. It's a 17-9 game. Peyton Manning to Marcus Pollard, who didn't play any football at Bradley. He played 2 years at power forward. Nice rebound. 8:25 to play here in the 3rd quarter in Indianapolis. The Colts with a 17-9 lead. It has been an aerial game.
It has. Again, look at that rushing yardage by both teams. Neither one doing very well, but passing game working for both sides.
And now the pressure and the focus falls once again to Dan Marino. They're going to start out with Cecil Collins on the ground. Tries the right side and not much there. The rookie Mike Peterson there for the stop.
Well, I think one thing the Colts, I said it earlier, what they want to do, they want to get in position where they can take, which they're starting to do. They're really taking away that running game, and now you can tee off, You can get those blitzes. The defensive lineman can just rush the passer, and they can make it rough on Dan Marino.
You see Marino's numbers for today. Has time over the middle, has his man across the 40 to about the 42. That's O.J. McDuffie. 18 yards and a first down.
Good job by O.J. McDuffie. The play action passes. We talk about the Colts. Miami Dolphins have done a good job of play action today. O.J. McDuffie, watch him come all the way over, find that open hole in the middle. Oh, good job. Good job by Cecil Collins, not reaching up and knocking that ball up in the air probably.
I think he went by him too fast.
Well,
first down at the 41, back to the ground game. Pick up with about 2 on the play. And again, Michael Barber in the middle of the defensive stop. Talk about what a pickup Michael Barber was. Spent 3 years at Seattle, and then the Colts got him on waivers from the Seahawks. It's his second year in Indianapolis, and he's found a home here, the middle linebacker spot.
Well, that's what Jim Morris said. His start defense was so bad last year. We just picked everybody up off the waiver wire, brought them in here, tried them out, see if they can help us.
Quick drop by Marino, throws far side, incomplete. Tony Martin over there. As you said, the Dolphins continue to move Tony Martin around on offense.
Yeah, and I watched some of these short passes. I tell you, the defensive backs for the Indianapolis Colts, very aggressive, reading the drop of the quarterback. If Dan Marino looks like it's going to be a quick drop, they are driving up there on the route, just like that last one. Had to be careful because the defensive backs are reading it.
3rd and 7. Got him for the first down. Tony Martin and more. 30 inside the 30 to about the 29-yard line. Cornelius Bennett made the stop after a 26-yard pickup, and there's a penalty marker down on the far side of the field. Goes against Miami.
Pass interference, number 80 of the offense, 10 yards, repeat 3rd down.
You know, I thought Tony Martin really came open awful quick over there. I didn't know why. Let's watch him as he goes up the field against Steve Muhammad. Gets those hands, pushes him forward. Good timing between him and Dan Marino, but when you put both of your arms out or hands and extend them, that's an easy call for the officials to make.
And it helps.
Well, it can help.
Yeah. So now the Dolphins are pushed back to their own 34-yard line. 3rd and 17.
Here they come.
Marino throws, has his man across the 40 to 35 to 30. Oronde Gadsden inside the 10-yard line, finally down at the 3-yard line.
Well, that play was all about Dan Marino. Again, Indianapolis comes with a blitz. Watch up top. They're going to come free. Marino, he's going to move just enough to buy that extra step. Makes the perfect throw to Oronde Gadsden. Look at this throw. Gets him right in stride, up the field, makes some people miss. That's what makes big plays in the NFL. But look at that, made that one sidestep. That's what he's done for 17 years and thrown for so many yards. A little movement in the pocket.
1st and goal. Collins. Almost to the 1. Chad Bratsky told us 2 days ago, one of the best things that Dan Marino does is he's able to make that first rusher miss.
And he does it with, you know, I say the bunny hop, that hop. And if you notice that last replay, he had that hop. It got him that extra second. He makes the throw. I did not see that when I watched the tape of the Monday night game. Today, his feet, they're lively. He's up on his toes, and he's throwing the ball much better.
Miami with just 2 offensive touchdowns in the last 10 and a half quarters. That won't get it done. Loss of a yard on the play. Ellis Johnson putting the clamps on Cecil Collins.
4 years, Jimmy Johnson run the football, and I'll tell you what, they're going backwards. It's just not getting any better. I know the offensive line's beat up and everything, but watch this inside. Look at the Colts. Nowhere to go. Offensive lineman in the hole, and then somebody comes around the defense, or the offensive line, and makes the play.
3rd and goal from the 3.
That was a good play call. I think they caught everybody off guard. A little sweep to the left. Good blocking up front. Conrad goes for the goal line. That is close. Cecil Collins, good job of running the football.
4th and inches. A defensive stand. The ball goes over to the Colts.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Wendy's Bacon Mushroom Melt and by Sure Grip by Fram.
Well, have we ever dropped in onto a situation here in Indianapolis? Jimmy Johnson saying he wanted the 3rd down play reviewed because he thought there was a touchdown. Instead, they ran off the play on 4th down, but this is the 3rd down play.
You watch Cecil Collins running. Here he comes. The football, all it's got to do is touch the white line.
That's awful close.
It is very close. I was kind of wondering why they didn't stop play, but Jimmy Johnson is now saying he hit the buzzer. It didn't work. He was waving the red flag. Play was not stopped.
And Jerry Austin acknowledged earlier in the game that we had a little bit of an equipment problem.
Now, of course, once you run the play for the next down, you can't review a play. So
I think it's safe to say, whichever way this one turns out, someone's going to be upset. Let's go down to Armin Katayan. Armin.
Greg, it's really hot down here. Johnson's saying, I pressed it. He turned it, pointed towards the videotape up on the screen saying touchdown. Jerry Austin's trying to explain to him, but Jimmy is saying, I already pressed the button. I don't think he's getting very far, though. Back to you.
And now Jim Mora has run all the way across the field and is being escorted all the way back.
He's right. He should go over there. You want to know what's going on. You should be informed. To sit there and see that something this important. Let's see what Jerry Austin.
See if Jerry Austin's equipment works.
Miami indicated that they had pressed the buzzer. He did not receive the signal on the field. Receive it on the field.
Well, I think the upshot is that it's 1st down Indianapolis. Not much is working right down on the field right now.
Having some difficulties down there. Now, I will say this, Greg, I thought it was very close. It was quick how it all happened. I don't know if you review that, even though it was very close, but it's got to be indisputable. And that was so close. If he made it over that goal line, it was by about an inch.
1st down, Indianapolis. Their own 1-foot line. Edgerrin James hits the running room and moves the pile a couple of yards before he's brought down at about the 3. Let's go back to that 3rd down play, which is in dispute.
Another view. Watch the goal line. Cecil Collins goes up.
And there's no telling from that angle.
Hard to see the football from that angle. The other angle we showed earlier was a little more clear.
2nd and 7 for the Colts.
secondary. He is almost impossible to cover for a lot of reasons. You can see the zone coverage. He gets on Calvin Jackson, number 38. He goes after good timing by Peyton Manning. But between the speed that he has, which Peyton Manning says is the fastest receiver he's ever thrown to, and the wiggle, he's got that wiggle. You don't know which way he's going to go. That makes him almost impossible to cover.
3 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown today. Manning goes back to the ground game, and James with a foul. Probably a half-yard gain on the play. Jimmy Johnson, whether he has a case or not, it brings up a bigger problem of what happens in this very much questioned replay system if the equipment doesn't work and you can't get to voice your challenge.
Well, you better have somebody standing next to you who can fling that red flag about 40 yards. I don't know. I think when you get in those situations, if they don't see, you run out on the field, you do whatever you got to do to stop that play.
Bring a trumpet. Second down. Play finish. Manning gets his first sack of the season.
Well, there you go. It's over.
The Colts were the only team not to have allowed a quarterback sack this season as Peyton gets his wish. That's out of the way.
Daryl Gardner, number 92, inside, just working. Jimmy Johnson said this guy is just having a terrific year. He gets the sack, but it was caused by Rich Owens, number 96, who forced him up.
So now that that's out of the way, I think Peyton Manning can get on with his season. 40-yard line is where the Colts have to go for a first down. Blitz. And down he goes again. Trace Armstrong. And Jerry Wilson was coming from the cornerback position.
Well, the Colts offense, the good thing they did, they got it back outside from the 1-yard line, across the 20-yard line. Trace Armstrong, number 93. When you're blitzing a quarterback, the better your timing is. That time they waited to the last second to show that blitz. It creates confusion, lets players get an edge. They get the sack.
That's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Colts 17 and the Miami Dolphins 9. 15 action-packed minutes remain, and we'll come back to the RCA Dome after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. And shut off the scoreboard in the third quarter as we begin the fourth. Hunter Smith, the rookie, back to kick it away to O.J. McDuffie. McDuffie from the 43 and hit hard at midfield, and down he goes. Ratcliffe Thomas, second-year man out of Maryland, applying the lick. Dan Marino goes back to work when we come back. Welcome back, everyone. We invite you to get inside the game with CBS Sportsline's Week 5 Leaders feature. You can see today's leaders in passing, rushing, receiving, and kicking in real time. It's live now. Just click on NFL at cbs.sportsline.com. Frustrating offensive afternoon for Dan Marino and the Dolphins, who have been inside the 10-yard line 4 times. You see their average starting field position has been terrific. Cecil Collins for a couple. But once they've gotten close, Phil, they've come away either empty-handed or with just field goals.
Was it 4 times inside the 10, 3 field goals? When you lose a football, if you do lose a game, you go back and look at that. It's one of the worst ways to lose a football game.
Ellis Johnson is the man down on the field, and looks like they're looking at his left knee. Ellis Johnson, their first-round draft pick back in 1995. The 15th player selected overall.
Having a good year on defense, doing a good job, which most interior linemen have to do now on defense. Your job, take up space, let everybody run and make the tackles.
17-9 Indianapolis, and we'll take a timeout. Number 62, Ellis Johnson, walked off the field under his own power and continues to be tended to on the sideline. He's been replaced by Larry Chester, number 64, at defensive tackle. 2nd and 8 for Marino and the Dolphins. The pitch for Collins. Collins tries the right side and slashes across the 45-yard line, a pickup of about 3 on the play. I want to remind you, coming up Thursday on CBS on an all-new Chicago Hope, a promising pitcher from the projects hurts himself in a freak accident. Will one doctor cut off an arm to save a life? Don't miss a riveting all-new Chicago Hope Thursday on CBS, America's most watched network. Another pivotal 3rd and 5 for Jimmy Johnson and the Dolphins. Marino with time, throws, has his man, that's complete. Oh, Tony Martin, and Martin out of bounds at about the 28-yard line. That's enough for a first down.
He does a good job that time. Dan Marino in the shotgun, has 2 backs in the backfield with him. Blitz, they pick it up, and now he has a one-on-one on the outside. Tony Martin against Steve Muhammad. Muhammad does the right thing. You got to give him a little space. If you crowd him too much, he'll run by you.
Tony Martin, 5 catches, 87 yards today. Marino to throw. Has his man. End zone touchdown. Tony Martin.
Gonna go for 2. Tony Martin, play action fake. Perfect timing by Dan Marino and Tony Martin as he makes the break. Good outside move. Oh, nice route. The safety never able to get over there. Dan Marino looked it off. Tony Martin, you can see, and you now realize why the Dolphins should do more things to get him the football, because he can make it happen.
First touchdown catch of the season for Tony Martin. Career touchdown pass, number 413 for Dan Marino as they go for 2.
All I can say is don't run it.
Marino throws, corner of the end zone, incomplete. That pass hit number 29, Jason Belzer, in the back. It was intended for Rob Conrad.
What stops that play is the pressure by the Colts defensive line. They get in the quarterback's face, makes it hard to throw for the completion.
Fell on CBS is sponsored by America Online. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1. Priority mail from the U.S. Postal Service. And by Chevrolet Trucks.
Dan Marino on the sidelines. The Dolphins pulled it within 2, 17-15, 13:08 to play here in the 4th quarter, and Olindo Mare set to kick. This will be the speedster Wilkins at the 3. Oh, look at him go. Oh. See you later. 97 yards.
As soon as he caught it, look at him go, and we saw him in practice Friday. When you watch this guy in the field, he's just quicker than all the other players out there trying to tackle him.
Jimmy Johnson told us that he had signed Nate Jacquet, number 88, as a flyer on kickoffs to counter that speed. It didn't work that time. Vanderjagt, the kick is good. Just like that, the Colts up 24-15. Lightning in a bottle, that's Terrence Wilkins.
Well, just give him a little hope as you go up the field. Here he can, watch this. This is what I like, the way he shifts. Straight ahead, just a little move. Oh, man, and doesn't even break stride. So few people have the ability to go up the field and go sideways when they run and not lose speed, and Terrence Wilkins is one of those players. And now what this will do, it will make kickoff teams be very conservative against a guy like this, which even gives him more chances to get it up the field.
He caught a touchdown pass against San Diego last week. And on the sidelines, Terrence Wilkins just got a big old greeting.
great.
Caught a touchdown pass against San Diego last week. Here he registers his second touchdown in the NFL.
It looked fast on TV, but when you're here in person, it's even faster.
Hurt my neck. This is a short kick. This is Brock Marion at 17 to the 30 and up into the 32-yard line. Aaron Bailey is the last to have returned a kickoff for a touchdown by the Colts. And we'll take this opportunity to remind you next Saturday, the Home Depot College Football on CBS goes deep in the heart of the SEC. Sean Alexander leads the Crimson Tide against the Runnin' Rebels of the University of Mississippi. Check local listings beginning with Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman on Volkswagen College Football today. Marino and company start from the 32. Marino gets rid of it. Incomplete. Under a lot of pressure in the backfield. Larry Chester, he of the Terrence Wilkins hoist.
Yeah. Well, this is the kind of situation. You know, you got a good offense. You want to be a team that has a chance to win big games. You play at home. Your offense gets you ahead. The crowd gets into it. Now it's time for the defensive linemen to really make the difference. And that time, they got in the backfield for Dan Marino against him and made him throw the ball before he was ready.
Ellis Johnson is back on the field for the Colt defense. Marino to throw. Has his man complete to Tony Martin, and Martin to the 45-yard line and a first down. Marino now 16 of 25 and approaching 300 yards here today.
Well, he's getting under pressure again. Watch him this time. Drops back, steps up again, and just fires it. And he has thrown about 4 or 5 passes today so far. It's just the speed of the ball. Gets in there just before Jason Belger can get there. Tony Martin, good job of staying with it, even though the defender's coming right at you.
12 minutes to play. The pitch for Collins. Collins dips to the outside, dips back inside across the 40, and a gain of about 7 on the play. You know, talking to Dan Marino, and again, it's another of the criticisms leveled at Marino over the past week is that he was throwing too much to O.J. McDuffie, and Dan told us last night, well, you tend to throw to people that you're comfortable with. I have to say he's pretty comfortable with Tony Martin after today.
That might be an understatement. Tony Martin, I think everybody knew what kind of player he was, and they were surprised the Dolphins weren't using him more, but I will say this, if I was Jimmy Johnson, I'd badmouth Dan Marino every week, because the man, every time he gets on him a little, he comes back the following week and really plays determined and good football.
Tony Martin now 7 of 38 receiving and a touchdown. Conrad out of the backfield, first down yardage across the 30 to about the 28.
This is something they really do a lot of, the Dolphins. Throw to Conrad in the flat. Watch the hit he takes once he turns it up the field. You're a fullback, you look for contact.
Rob Conrad, a rookie out of Syracuse, second-round draft pick. First down, Miami. Collins again. About 3 to the 26. Michael Barber with the tackle.
Tackle by 53, Michael Barber.
Dolphins doing a good job. Just don't abandon the run. Keep the defense off guard. Make them play honest. What it does, it does a lot of things. You see Cecil Collins' numbers for today, 19 for 48 yards. Lets the quarterback stay in rhythm too. Gives him a chance to hand it off, think about what he wants to do, what might happen.
Need the 18-yard line for a first down. Collins outside, first down and more. To the 10, the 5, touchdown. 25 yards and the the Dolphins come right back.
Watch this run. Watch as Cecil Collins comes up in there. The pulling guard, Kevin Gogan, number 66, gets Cornelius Bennett to the ground. That's what opened up the hole, and Cecil Collins showing when he gets a little room, he's got the speed to take it all the way.
His first NFL touchdown. Told us, last night, I think I explode pretty good. I think he does. Extra point is good. 9:45 to play here in the fourth quarter. And the Colts with a 24-22 lead. Cecil Collins, his first NFL touchdown. You know, talking about things that Cecil Collins shared with us, he also said, I have pretty good speed, but it's hard to get outside in the NFL. He did a great job that last time. Low kick, picked up by Wilkins. 25, 30, and brought down at about the 33-yard line. And on comes Peyton Manning.
Well, Greg, all those missed scoring opportunities both teams had in the first half, they're making up for it now. Peyton Manning, good solid day, throwing the ball well, getting opportunities down the field. When he gets them, most of them he's taking advantage of.
Two-point lead. Manning and the Colts with the ball. Edgerrin James with running room. 50 and out of bounds at the 47-yard line.
I tell you, this game is all about when you call play, do you time it right? This time Miami goes, well, you know they're going to throw a play action pass. They send the blitz to take advantage of it. And look, nobody's there to stop the run. Here he comes. I don't know. How would you like to be the guy that's got to bring that big man running the football down the sidelines?
Edgerrin James and his good friend Cecil Collins both having themselves decent days today. Manning going to go down the far side. Incomplete. Marvin Harrison says he was being held up by Sam Madison. The officials say no.
Well, what happened? That time not on the same page. Marvin Harrison going down the sideline. Sam Madison. Peyton, the ball's already gone. Marvin Harrison just trying to outrun him, but Peyton Manning was trying to throw the ball before Sam Madison could turn around and see it coming.
Second and 10. On the draw, James, 40, 35 to the 32-yard line of the first down.
I heard somebody on the field watch the draw. And I'll tell you why I thought it was going to be a draw. Peyton Manning was up there making all those signals to the wide receivers, the one to the right, one to the left. As Jimmy Johnson says, he's just giving you the moves right there. Trying to fool the defense just for a second. Gives Edgerrin James just a little bit of room to make another first down.
It's pretty clear if you're a defender and you look across the line at Peyton Manning, you can't really believe much of what he's doing.
He's lying. What else is there to say?
Continues to move. 8:20 to play. Manning with time. Over the middle. Has a man. Pollard. Touchdown.
What a play. Well designed. Saw it in practice the other day. Watch Peyton Manning's going to run this way. Usually everybody comes across the field. Marcus Pollard stops, goes the other way. The defense is so trained to stop that play as it goes across the field. When he stops and goes the other way, they're fooled, and hey.
There's that power forward out of Bradley University.
I thought they outlawed the slam dunk.
Extra point is good. 8:14 to play here in the fourth quarter. Indianapolis 31-22 on the Miami Dolphins, and Marcus Pollard with his second touchdown of the afternoon.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by 10-10-321 and by Goodyear, #1 in tires.
How's that for a drive by the Colts? 4 plays, 67 yards in a minute and a half. Go back to the touchdown pass to Marcus Pollard.
Well, this play is run by everybody in the NFL. What they do, Marcus Pollard, they usually just keep going across the field. This time he'll stop, and he goes the other way. And watch the Miami defenders. Manning fakes. Everybody's going to run to the right. Nope. He stops and goes back to the left. Fools Zach Thomas, the linebacker. Oh, good job of coming back and making the block. Brock Marion, the safety, he's fooled too.
So Marino and the Dolphins start from the 34. 8:01 to play. What a day for Marcus Pollard. Marino with time. Wide open receiver. Far side. Tony Martin out of bounds. Marvin Harrison is one of those guys who's seen some pretty lean years here in Indianapolis before things have started to become exciting again. And we asked him if these fans have been a little bit on edge. He said, no, they're really nice. But then again, I come from Philadelphia.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, the fans might be a little different up there sometimes. They expect it quicker, but trying to win them back here in Indianapolis.
Collins cut down at the 49. And that was the rookie Mike Peterson, second-round draft pick out of Florida with the tackle.
Taking Andre Royal's place today. Cecil Collins, here he comes. Then out of nowhere, full speed, wrapping up, good tackle. Well, every time Miami gets it going, Indianapolis scores, takes it right away, and Miami just comes right back.
Coming up on 7 minutes to play. Rookies behind Marino on second down. And he'll throw over the middle. Conrad, and Conrad is met after about a 3-yard pickup. It'll be third down.
I'm sorry, Greg. I would think Indianapolis' defense would play it conservative this time. They've been blitzing. Dan Marino's finding an extra second, and he has been peppering them down the field. So this time, maybe they'll play it safe, make them just throw and catch, and get a chance to tackle.
Indianapolis fans on their feet on third down. Over the middle, complete for first down, Stanley Pritchett. That's a 12-yard pickup.
Well, I was right. The Colts, they tried something different. They said, let's go back and see if we can cover them. But Stanley Pritchett, number 36, good move. He's really covered. Jason Bell's are right there, but good job protecting the football, making the catch.
Stanley Pritchett at 6'1" and 240 is still on the field. Coming up on 400 total yards on the day. This is Pritchett again. Going to pick up a 5 on the play, so that makes it 4:01 on the day. And the clock continues to move, coming up on 5 minutes to play.
Well, this Dolphin offense just has more energy, more creativity, and of course, that leads to better execution. We're seeing it today.
Second and 5. Marino, 330 yards and a touchdown. And we have a whistle.
Well, the buzzer went off again.
Got a malfunction of the...
Well, we have no idea what Jerry Austin said either. What we do know, they'll reset the 25.
Reset the clock. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, please.
Well, do you want to know the real Ronald Reagan? Talk to his youngest son, Leslie Stahl, did tonight on 60 Minutes. Those of you expecting to see 60 Minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS in the game between the Dolphins and the Colts. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms and Armin Katayan. The Colts lead the Miami Dolphins 31-22. 60 Minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. Jerry Austin coming to the sideline.
We're trying to find out how much time was left on the clock before they had the interference with the buzzer.
And they have reset the clock to 5 minutes. J.J. Johnson, and he falls forward to the 25-yard line. How about a report card on Dan Marino now, Phil? 21 of 30, 330 yards and a touchdown. This is his 61st 300-yard game, and that just adds to one of his many NFL records.
He's graduating with honors, Greg.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, what can I say? Really a wonderful comeback game for Dan Marino. Really competing, and he's at his best when you just kind of let him run the game. He's in charge, and you throw the football and playing with energy and making it happen.
They need to get to the 24. J.J. Johnson falls forward, and he's close. He looks to be short. Mike Peterson, Jason Belzer on the tackle.
Well, I've seen quite a few running backs today so far. When they're moving, they've slipped and fell. That time J.J. Johnson did. Jimmy Johnson sending the field goal team because you need 2 scores. Let's watch J.J. Johnson. He comes around. Oh, he steps on the back of one of his linemen's feet, and it stops him from getting the first down.
So Olindo Mare is going to line up a field goal from 43 yards out. And this one is good. His 4th field goal of the day. 3:20 to play here in regulation. And the Dolphins close to 31-25. While we have the opportunity tonight on the CBS Sunday movie, 1,000 tons of runaway steel, and only one man can stop it. Robert Urich stars in Final Run tonight here on CBS, America's most watched network.
Well, Jimmy Johnson goes for the field goal in that situation. What you want to do when you're behind like this, especially on the road, you want to keep prolonging the game. Make the other team, make them keep coming out trying to get first downs. It gives you an opportunity to make a play against their offense.
Jimmy Johnson onside kick earlier in the game. Does he do it here?
Well, no, I would think that, no, it wouldn't even cross his mind to do it. Since he's already used it once in this game, I would think that front line of the receiving team, I think their feet are going to stay in place this time. What do you think?
Perhaps. We mentioned earlier the problems that the Dolphins have been having in the red zone for 4 straight games now. Olindo Mare has had 4 field goals.
Now the Indianapolis Colts, they have what is called the hands team out there. A lot of skilled people.
Kicks it away. Wilkins going to let it sail into the end zone and through. So Peyton Manning and the Colts will start at their own 20-yard lines. I said 4 straight games. Mare with 4 field goals. It's 3 in a row.
You know, when I was a player, Greg, in this league, these type of situations, when you're ahead like this, getting late in the game, 3-14, I was always going, how are we going to protect this? What are we going to do? Do you keep running your offense? Well, it sounds simple, but you can feel it. You want to be careful. Don't make a mistake. You just want that clock to move. So passing the football becomes more difficult, and of course running is more difficult because the defense is fired up trying to stop you.
Edgerrin James has fumbled once today. He gets the handoff out to the 23-yard line. Clock moving toward 3 minutes. Both teams with the full complement of timeouts remaining here in the second half.
So that alone, just the full timeouts, you got 3 timeouts left plus the 2 minutes. That forces the Colts' hand in a way. You've got to go out there, take some chances to get some first downs to end the game.
Three wide receivers. Backfield to block. James, 25, across the 30, but there's a penalty marker down.
Well, Indianapolis gets what they want. They pick up a first down running, but we get a holding.
Holding, number 76 of the offense, 10 yards. Repeat, second down.
That's Steve McKinney, the left guard, who is voicing his displeasure with the call.
Well, he's going, how can I hold? I got my hands bandaged. Well, it's easy. You wrap those big arms around them. Steve McKinney, number 76, against Daryl Gardner. Look at that. When that arm goes outside, got a nice grip with the jersey.
He can do it really well with his hands bandaged.
Well, that's the new rule. You can get outside, but you must immediately bring them back inside.
2nd and 17. Manning pointing left and right again. He's going to keep it on the ground. And Edgerrin James bounces to the outside, but gets nothing this time. He lost a yard on the play. Sean Wooden up to make the tackle. And timeout called by the Dolphins, stopping the clock with 2:18 to play. Do you want to know the real Ronald Reagan? Talked to his youngest son, Leslie Stahl did. That's tonight on 60 Minutes, right after the game, except on the West Coast.
I tell you, look at this, Greg. 3rd and 17. There's not many plays in that playbook that are going to give you 17 yards. So the Colts, you just want to make a play. You want to get it to the 2-minute warning, and you just got to rely on your defense.
It's been a terrifically entertaining game. Those people back in Miami looking for something definitive on whether or not Jimmy Johnson will, if his criticism of Dan Marino was justified. If it was justified a week ago, I don't think that you can carry that over to this week.
No, well, of course you can't. I mean, even if you just follow football for today, Dan Marino is having a good day. And was the criticism justified? Yes, it was. Dan Marino had not played well in a couple weeks.
Peyton Manning spreads his offense. They need to get to the 30-yard line for a first down. Throws it over the middle, complete. And Zach Thomas is there to make the tackle after a 1-yard pickup. And that'll bring us to the 2-minute warning. Miami about to get the football back with 2 timeouts. They trail 31-25. Welcome back to Indianapolis, where the Colts lead 31-25, 2 minutes to play. And now the offense has gone back onto the field for the Colts, and the punter comes off.
Yeah, what they're going to probably do here, you're up 6 points, 31-25. They've decided, let's don't give them field position to score the touchdown. Let's take a safety, get the punt the ball from the 20-yard line, and make them go farther to score that winning touchdown.
You can feel a little bit of a buzz in the crowd as Peyton Manning comes back on 4th down.
Yeah, good decision here by Jim Mora and his staff to think in these situations what you got to do.
Manning takes the snap, and he's going to go right out the back of the end zone after he kills a little bit of time. The penalty marker is down at the 7-yard line.
Well, if it's against the Colts, you decline it so you can get the ball and save some time.
It is against the Colts. And Jimmy Johnson says we're going to decline it. You are an absolute guru here in the booth.
I know. He's one of the...
Holding, 78 of the offense. Penalty is declined. Safety. There'll be a safety kick.
As somebody in the league once said to me, you know, you got all the answers up there on Sunday. Yes, I do. It makes you wonder as you stand up here. You know, I always do, Greg. I go, wow, why couldn't I have done better? You know, it really looks a lot easier, and I understand more now than ever before. And well,
did you hear that big chorus from the truck? You did okay.
Yeah, but when you get down there, so much is going on. It's so hard. It's so confusing. It's just tougher. No matter what position you play, it's a tough football game.
Well, Dan Marino will get the ball back, and Miami will have 2 timeouts remaining. In case you're wondering, Dan Marino ranks second all-time in fourth quarter game-winning drives. His 34, second only to John Elway's 43.
You know, the other thing you were talking about, we were talking about Dan Marino, how he's played today, he's done so well. This is going to bring up another argument in Miami. Why do we keep trying to run the football? Because you got good receivers, you still got Dan Marino. When you come out and you make the passing attack the focal point of your offense, we can see it works very well.
Terrell Buckley and O.J. McDuffie are deep. Booming punt. And it's McDuffie at the 20. Cut down at the 30-yard line by Billy Austin, number 47. Their last 4 possessions since they were stuffed at the goal line. A field goal, a touchdown, and then gave it over on downs. You know, Phil, you wonder where all those guys went who said you absolutely have to establish the run before you can throw the football.
That used to be a nice thing in the National Football League, but a lot of teams now run to keep you off balance, and they throw it to set up the run.
On the sideline, Colts players asking their fans to get to their feet. This side, complete. Tony Martin. Clock continues to move. Pick up a 3 on the play. Tony Blevins came up to make the hit.
Indianapolis on an all-out blitz. You take those chances. Your defensive backs better make the tackle. Nobody behind them to stop the receiver once they catch it.
Dolphins need a touchdown. This side again, Martin complete and out of bounds at midfield, and it's a first down.
What a throw.
You know, I'm thinking there's all this question about whether or not the Dolphins are going to change quarterbacks. Would you want anybody else in there at a time like this?
I'll tell you, you have so many questions coming into the game, Greg, and rightly so when you watch some of what's happened before. But a day like today, there's not many quarterbacks in this league that can throw the ball the way Dan Marino has today.
Cornelius Bennett, and then flip forward, incomplete. Cornelius Bennett on the rush, and that's considered a fumble. Marino says it's a forward pass. The official says it's a fumble.
He was trying to pass that ball. He pushed it with his hand. He pushed that ball forward on purpose with his hand.
Pretty clear what Jimmy Johnson thinks. And there is a huddle of black and white stripes. Jerry Austin wants to get clear amongst his officials.
Now this is a judgment call, so let's watch what happens. Dan Marino coming up. He pushes it forward. It looks like Sean King hits him, but Dan Marino lost control of that ball and pushed it out with both hands. Yes.
If you are wondering about a review and a replay, this is a judgment call by the officials and therefore is not subject to review. And Jimmy Johnson is waving that red flag on the far side to no avail. And now, here's Jerry Austin.
Be reviewed.
Well, they are going to go review. They can go to the tape and see if Dan Marino's hand was going forward. So you can see if Dan Marino's hand is going forward to throw the ball, or was it knocked out of his hand by number 96, Sean King. And it's a reviewable play because they called it a fumble. And anytime there's a change of possession, it is reviewable.
I beg your pardon.
They're going to have a hard time deciding what this was. When you look at that, it's hard to tell sometimes if maybe Sean King did knock it out of Marino's hands and caused it to go up in the air a little as he was trying to throw it.
Jimmy's going to have a little something to say about the replay system after this day is over.
Well, there's no doubt Dan Marino was trying to push it forward to get rid of it. The problem here is it was ruled a fumble on the field. Now you have to decide, does the evidence you can see that Sean King does push his hands or the ball back into his helmet, and Dan Marino tries to push it forward. The ball goes forward, so that tells me his hands propelled it forward.
Unless Sean King bounced it off of his helmet.
Well, we're going to find out.
You know, Jerry Austin's going to sleep really well tonight.
I hope his mic works.
After you is referred to incomplete pass.
It is ruled an incomplete pass. The Dolphins are still alive.
Well, I think the thing that drives it, that makes it an incomplete pass, Greg, is the fact that the ball went forward about 5 yards when Dan Marino pushed it. Here we go. Dan Marino coming forward. Sean King does swat him, but as he does, the ball does go forward.
Well, here's the situation. The ball is at midfield. Second down for the Dolphins. A minute 16 to play. They have 2 timeouts remaining. Over the middle. Incomplete. Intended for number 81, O.J. McDuffie. Jeff Burris was there. Stops the clock with a minute 11 to play.
Boy, good pass protection by that Dolphin offensive line. When it's really mattered here in the second half, they have done a good job of protecting Dan Marino.
Note at the bottom of the screen, by virtue of the Jason Elam field goal, the defending Super Bowl champion Broncos register their first win of the season. 16-13 at Oakland. Third down and 10. Going deep. Incomplete. Tony Martin. And Marino on the turf with Cornelius Bennett next to him.
Boy, he takes a hit. What a job. Dan Marino moves in the pocket. Buys himself an extra second. He moves. Takes the hit. And watch this ball as it goes down. It looks like it hits Tony Martin in the leg. He doesn't get down low enough to catch the football.
Fourth down. Play clock is at 3, 2, and Marino has to use the second timeout.
Good job. Fourth down. You don't need to save both timeouts. Still plenty of time. A minute 4, 1 timeout left. Give yourself a chance to settle down, think about it, and call a play that gives you the best chance to pick up the 10 yards.
We remind you once again, those of you awaiting 60 minutes, we will take you to it except on the West Coast once we wind things up here in Indianapolis. The executive producers of the NFL on CBS are Sean McManus and Terry Ewert. The coordinating director of the NFL on CBS is Larry Cavallina. The producer of today's game is Mark Wolf. The senior producer of the NFL Today is Eric Mann. The NFL Today is directed by Bob Mattina. The associate directors of today's game, Ross Schneiderman and Brian Lilly. And our broadcast associates are Ryan Galvin and Jonathan Siegel. Terrific job today, as always, and with 64 ticks remaining on the clock.
Well, I think the guessing game is here for the Dolphins. Are the Indianapolis Colts going to blitz to force you to throw the ball quick? So I say the Miami Dolphins keep two guys in the back. Yes, they got two people in the backfield to protect against the blitz in case the Indianapolis Colts do that.
On the blitz, deep, has a man open, complete. It is inside the 5-yard line. Oronde Gadsden, 47 yards. Clock continues to move.
The Colts gambled. They brought the corner. Miami. It looked like they were ready for it. Dan Marino stands here. Blitzer coming at him and throws the perfect long ball.
Marino looking, throws it away. Now my question is, why is that not grounding the football? He was well inside the tackles. There was no receiver anywhere in the vicinity, but that's ruled an incomplete pass.
That's a judgment call, and usually when you throw the ball past the line of scrimmage like that from in the pocket, nobody was around him to sack him. He wasn't under pressure getting ready to be sacked, so they'll let you get away with that one. But what a play on 4th down by the Miami Dolphins offense.
Marino, 24 of 37, 391 and a touchdown. Miami's red zone offense has been almost non-existent, and now Marino calls timeout. That is his final timeout. So Marino will take a walk to the sideline with 31 seconds to play, and the Dolphins trail 31-27.
Well, maybe the one spot they didn't want to be, down inside the 10-yard line. They haven't done anything yet today from that position.
Let's go back to that long completion.
Look at the blitz. Here he comes. The blitzer, Oronde Gadsden, sees it. Doesn't adjust to a short route. He takes off deep. Boy, that is, I don't know if they planned that on the sideline, but that is a good job. A good job of the Miami Dolphins knowing how to adjust. Thomas Randolph on the blitz. Tony Blevins is a safety. He gets over. They expect it to be a short pass, make the tackle. It's not. It's a long pass, which you never see done in those type of situations.
Earlier in the half, the Indianapolis defense stuffed the Dolphins at the goal line. 31 seconds to play. Second and goal. Another blitz. Throwing. Far side. Did he come down inbounds?
They have the rolling being pushed out.
Touchdown. Oh, touchdown. Gadsden has been the late game hero for the Miami Dolphins.
He just uses his size this time. He goes up. Steve Muhammad, they're saying he does not get his feet in, but they're saying Steve Muhammad pushed him out of bounds. They rule a touchdown. Good call.
Looks like he may have gotten his feet down anyway.
No, he missed that 1 foot, but it would have been in if the defender didn't push it.
The extra point is good. 34-31 Miami.
Let's watch it to the outside. Nice throw. Really good catch. He's already being pushed 1 foot in. The second one just misses from coming down in. Good call by the officials.
Phil, I'm going to disagree with you. He got both feet down.
All right, let's watch.
There's the right one.
One.
Here comes the left one.
Yeah. When?
Somewhere down the line.
Okay. But this is a call that must be made on the field. If you did not rule the push, if you'd have sent it to replay, it would have been out of bounds. But Dan Marino, excited. What a day.
What a
comeback. What a week. That's right. Single-handedly, he came in here, and it just made it happen all day long. so many throws against the blitz. When it wasn't even picked up, he bought an extra second, threw the ball down the field. So many scoring opportunities not taken advantage of because they couldn't run it in the end zone from inside the 10. But he answers with a couple touchdown passes late.
Back to receive, Terrence Wilkins. Earlier, a 97-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Hit and dropped at the 26-yard line. And Larry Izzo with the tackle. 60 minutes coming up next here on CBS, except on the West Coast. So Peyton Manning has 22 seconds in all 3 of his timeouts.
Well, you can't help but smile. You watch Dan Marino on the sideline, and wow, it's such redemption to hear the criticism he did this past week, and something he's not used to hearing. 3 timeouts for the Indianapolis Colts. 22 seconds.
Movement on the offensive line, and that's Tarek Glenn.
Ball stop. Number 78, 5 yards.
That'll cost the Colts 5 yards. And a second off the clock.
Well, you look at the Colts, this is going to be their second loss, or it could be, and the way they've lost both of them. They led the New England Patriots in New England 28-7 in the second half and lost the football game.
Throws over the middle, incomplete, intercepted. Intercepted by the Dolphins, and this game is over. Terrell Buckley grabbed the deflected pass, and the Dolphins have to run out the clock.
Well, you got to take a chance in the slot. Going to Marvin Harrison. Patrick Surtain, good coverage. Terrell Buckley back deep, makes a good catch for the interception. Well, when you get in those situations, you got to throw it in there and take a chance. Most of the time, you're going to throw an interception. Good play by the Dolphins defense.
So 16 seconds remaining on the clock. And that'll do it. Colts will not stop the clock. What a terrific game and a terrific comeback by Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins. Jim Mora searching out Jimmy Johnson to offer congratulations. Once again, our final score, the Dolphins 34, the Colts 31. Coming up next on CBS, except in the Pacific time zone. Stay tuned for another fascinating 60 minutes. For Phil Simms and Armin Katayan, I'm Greg Gumbel. So long from Indianapolis. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.